Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Above the ziggurat on the lost continent of Goresh hovers the massive Ravager airship. Inside, on one of the many levels, Chestergate Lawn sits in his quarters. The room is sparse, precise, and immaculate. A narrow bunk bolted to the hull, a wash basin of hammered steel, a single porthole through which the lights of Goresh flicker far below. The ship hums around him. Lawn stands at a small desk, a sending stone resting in his palm. Its surface glows faintly, pulsing in time with his breath. A crackle, then Astrid's voice, thin but unmistakable.
Chestergate?
His jaw tightens.
Report. It's proving impossible to keep control. The people are in open revolt. Lunadyne is a war zone. Torren has fallen. Joseph is missing.
The words hang between them.
The time approaches, Astrid. Your orders are to keep control in Lunadyne. And what exactly are the Emperor's movements while I do the impossible? We depart Goresh within the hour. It's time.
Astrid exhales.
Are we sure this is a good idea, Lorne? He's missing a benediction. He has tried without the relevant power before. If it's meant to be, it'll work. That is a lot of faith to have. Faith will give us what we need. It always has. Maintain your position and await further instructions. Understood. Astrid out.
The glow fades and the stone cools to grey. For a long moment, Lorne stands motionless. Then he moves. From a reinforced chest at the foot of his bunk, he lifts the pieces of Ethereum armor one by one. The metal is dark, almost liquid in its sheen. Veins of faint blue light threading through it like captured lightning. He fastens the breastplate. It seals with a soft hiss. Gauntlets slide into place, locking at the wrist. The helm he hesitates over for a fraction of a second, then lowers it. The faint internal glow sharpens as his breathing becomes measured. The hum of the Ravager seems to deepen. Lorne steps into the corridor. Crew members flatten themselves against walls as he passes. No one speaks. The ship's great heart thrums beneath their boots. Moments later, he emerges onto the main deck. Goresh sprawls below them in the darkness, storm clouds gathering over the sea beyond. At the prow, silhouetted against the lightning-flecked horizon, stands Emperor Salazar. Lorne approaches.
The Ravager is ready for departure,
he says, voice resonant through the helm. Salazar considers for a moment. When suddenly, from behind him, a swirling black portal rips open. Lorne draws his massive bastard sword and steps between the portal and the Emperor. But Salazar places his hand on Lorne's shoulder. For a moment, the portal pulses. Then it undulates, and with a blip, something flies through. A metal arm hits the floor and slides all the way to Lorne's feet. Then, just as suddenly, the portal closes. Salazar reaches down and picks up the automaton arm. His fingers spindle around the wrist like a spider. And emerging is the obsidian matrix. It transforms and attaches itself to Salazar's arm. A burst of energy wraps itself around him and he grunts in pain, like he's trying to withstand the power. Then it settles, and a smile curls onto his thin lips. Without a word, he turns to look ahead. Chestergate Lawn knows better than to ask questions about such things.
Sir, what location shall we set our heading?
Roanoke, the Citadel, where it all began, and where history ends.
Welcome one and all to Dice Company's Small Embers Chapter 99. We're a group of friends weave tales of triumph, heroism and despair under the guise of playing dungeons, and frankly, we don't want to mention the other D word, especially after recent events. Dragons!
No, too soon.
My name is Tom and I'll be your DM for the continuing adventures of this team who are nearly at 100 chapters. How did we get to nearly 100? And we made it all the way without losing any important characters whatsoever.
Piece of...
Team who are nearly at 100 chapters, please introduce yourselves and tell us one fun fact about your characters.
No. Someone else has to go because I'm sad now.
Hello, I'm Dave and I play Petron Oakflower. Aboard the Sterling, Petron is spending most of his time apart from the rest of the crew. Partially, this is because he is still processing recent events, but also because he has realised that the clock is ticking on the Awaken spell, which he cast on Cuthbert, and soon Cuthbert will be free to do as he chooses. And Petron knows that these may be his last days with his oldest friend.
Oh. Hey, surely Petron's been treating him nicely, though.
Yeah, reasonably, I'd have said, but, you know, Cuthbert might want to go and see the world, I suppose. He might have been, had enough of being in the Grove, hanging out with Petron. He might want to find new druid friends.
Well, they do say familiarity breeds contempt.
They do, yeah. 99 episodes, was it you say?
Yeah. Got to keep it fresh with the new character here or there.
Speaking of which.
Hi, I'm Harry, and I play Tok, an imposing 6'8" automaton.
Hey!
Tok appears to have installed a in-flight announcement system in the Sterling, and the crew are treated to the inaugural announcement. Dun, 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 dun. To the officers and crew of the Sterling, we are now safe. We are heading to a place of sanctuary. We have lost Sky Marshal Vander, the Knights of Scarlet, and most of the fleet. We have lost many friends, so many that we celebrate our victory with grief and mourning. Because of their sacrifice and that of thousands of others, we have destroyed the sons of Kael and broken the Emperor's hold on this continent, maybe forever. From our odyssey into misery, we return with a gift, the knowledge of the Emperor's weakness, a gap in his armor and that of the Ravager. To restore this land to its natural state, to reclaim our home after all these years.
Wow.
It's a bit different to what you get when you fly EasyJet, isn't it?
Also, please mind the gap between the train and the closing door and the platform.
The amount of people who've fallen off the edge of the Sterling, we probably should have at least
good.
a warning sign there.
That was wonderful.
I mean, I think a ringing silence would fall over the Sterling for a short while after listening to that announcement.
Featherfall tokens can be found here, here, and here.
Somewhere Giddis and Sally Sealerman are having a discussion about about who should be doing the Tannoy announcements going forward.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Seek Sorrow. And Seek Sorrow is grieving, not only for Vander, but for the entire crew of the Gravedigger, his first proper command as a captain. But he's been thinking that Vander the Sky Marshal died heroically, while the crew on his ship just died. And he's concluded that in his quest to avoid a sorrowful death, he needs to be a nobleman, because ordinary people die ordinary deaths. Vander got to die a great one. So, Seek Sorrow has hatched a plan to become Lord Seek Sorrow. But Lord Seek Sorrow of where? The obvious choice is, of course, Misery, because kind of it works in terms of the name, and also it feels like no one else is going to want to claim to be Lord of Misery. So, there's a few other questions, one of which is what will be the sigil of his house? He doesn't know the full design, but he knows it must, of course, feature a narwhal.
I completely forgot about the narwhal.
Yeah.
Get ready for the Seek Sorrow dynasty.
Would he be Lord Seek Sorrow of Misery, or would he be Seek Sorrow, Lord of Misery?
I feel like he has to be Seek Sorrow, Lord of Misery, surely.
He would like to be Lord Seek Sorrow of Misery because it's just Lord name of place. Lord of Misery sounds like yeah. I mean, the Seek Sorrows would be the obvious lords of a place called Misery. But, he can rehabilitate the place in the same way that he's rehabilitating the name.
I've got to get rid of the dragon first.
Yeah, it's currently on fire with a dragon in its heart.
Well, the only way is up.
I mean, also down, because it's down.
So Seek Sorrow is going to be investigating how does one become a lord? How do you claim stuff? He assumes it's mostly about money, and he has got a lot of that.
I think the administrative hub of the Kalian Empire is in Lunadyne in Alphon. So unless you're planning on going to the capital to lodge a official...
We're not going to Lunadyne just so that you can be a lord, Alex. It's an absolutely absurd idea.
Anyway, I mean, we plan on destroying the Emperor and thus all property rights deriving from the Central Records Bureau.
Bloody anarchists. Perfect. Rapid fire housekeeping. Follow us on YouTube, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Come join us in the Discord, the greatest TTRPG Discord server in the entire world. Leave us a review on your podcast app of choice.
And your podcast of choice.
Damn it! And consider joining our Patreon, the best way to enjoy the madness we produce. This is the last episode of this season of Small Embers. Next week, we'll be launching our new show, Darkstar, the galaxy's local service provider, a mothership actual play. You'll find it wherever you get your podcast. Links are in the show notes. The week after that, on our One Shot Stories feed, Dave will be turning keeper in our debut Call of Cthulhu series, It's Grim Up North. So please do subscribe, listen, and review for all the feeds we have. It helps get our name out there. And please remember, we've got 99 problems, but Vander ain't one. So let's turn the page on the next chapter of Dice Company.
That was the most brutal thing we've done so far.
That was magnificent.
Previously on Small Embers, Petron, Sixor and Tok left a tribute to their fallen friend Vander by a Jarima tree near Misery, before departing east, back towards Sanctuary, to talk with Rosalind about the discoveries they've made about Emperor Salazar's upcoming Ritual of Ascension, known as the Ashen Wake. Sixor, as you're going about your business aboard the Sterling, Gideon Octavius Zeno Donothlian approaches you. What are our plans now, Captain? I presume you've taken control now that Cyril Highmore has sadly passed away.
Yes, that's right. Well, our plans at the moment is we are heading southwest towards Sanctuary to rejoin the rebellion.
I see. And from there, I presume we will then be beginning the search for my son, as was promised to me by Cyril Highmore.
Well, it's an interesting idea. We've had some alarming news about the Emperor's plans, so we might have to potentially put that idea on hold for a little bit, try and stop the end of the world.
Well, it seems fairly obvious to me that having my son on our side would be a boon in the fight against the Emperor. I see no reason to delay further.
Well, of course, you're welcome to do what you will, but not sure we can spare that many people for that. Vander usually decided all these sorts of things. I'm sure he'd have something nasty to say to you, but I'm just going to go with not at the moment, if that's all right.
He looks at you in the haughty way that only aristocracy can. Disdain, I believe it's called. And with half a snort, he turns around and heads below deck.
And if there's anyone around to hear it, Seekthrow is going to go, I think I've got some work to do to get the hang of this Captain Lark. I don't think I handled that very well.
As he moves onto the deck, he will see Tok already on the poop deck, looking up at the stars, with little Tick next to him.
Hello, Tok, you all right?
I am well, Seek Sorrow.
I would say can't sleep. That's normally how humans start a conversation. at this time of night, but you don't sleep, do you? Just watch the stars?
Am incapable of sleep. It is still relevant.
Well, I can't sleep, Tok.
Do you wish for a sedative?
No, just a conversation starter, Tok. Standing here where Vander so often, sat and piloted the ship makes me think that we've lost I don't want to say the brains of the operation, but Vander sort of knew where we were going in more ways than one. And what worries me now is we've got this ritual we probably need to stop, but Vander would sort of know what the Emperor was about and how we might, unravel his plans and do something despicable to stop him. I don't know whether we should just show up at the Citadel in 9 weeks' time and just fight the bastard. I don't know, it just seems a bit, I feel like Vander would have a cunning plan and I'm not sure I've got one. Wondered if you've got any thoughts.
From analysis of Vander's planning, I believe much of it was done post hoc. He had a talent for improvisation.
That's true. Well, on this one, we've got quite a lot of pre-hoc, don't we? So, what do you think?
We could attempt to scout the Citadel en route, gain information.
Yeah, we could. I wonder if some sort of trap would be the way forward, but then I guess champions of the Hushed One, our trap might end up being a trap for us if we're not careful. What would Vander do? Something to do with blood and teeth, I'm sure. Maybe soup.
Possibly all three. I can think of one deception that may be to our advantage.
All right then, Tok. What have you got?
We have aboard a trusted lieutenant of the Emperor, Heron.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder how we can use him to our advantage. Problem is, if we set him back up with his own legs and arms, he probably goes back to being a, supporter of the Hushed One and wanting the Emperor to botch his ashen wake and let the brain automatons march across the continents. None of that sounds very good to me.
That is correct. However, a subtler plan may be possible. We could remove his skin, apply it to myself, and I could imitate him. The Emperor and humans are poor at identifying automatons.
Do you know what, Tok? That's actually a really good idea. If he trusted you, he'd probably let you stand right there next to him. Just at the right moment, you could, I don't know, chop his head off or whatever.
It is something I would be prepared to attempt. I doubt I would succeed alone.
Well, you won't be alone, but it is risky. How do you feel about that sort of danger?
I would wish to secure an alternative future for the automatons first. And Tok looks over next to him at Little Tick, who's looking up at Zeek-Sorrow.
And is remaining surprisingly quiet.
What do you want, Little Tick?
Zeek-Sorrow! I wish for peace for my father, and for you, and Petron Oakflower.
Well, that's very nice, you little Tick, but I wondered about what you want for you.
I have not considered it. I wish to learn, to understand.
Well, those are good things to want, if you ask me. Probably better than most humans would have said to the same question. Maybe Tok's bright future, an automaton future alongside humans, or even instead of humans, if we're really going to be wiped out by these maniacs. Is it going to be all so bad after all?
I believe the relationship is symbiotic, Zeek-Sorrow.
Automatons and humans, you mean?
That is correct.
I would find that to be acceptable.
I am glad, Little Tick.
I'd find it to be acceptable too, Little Tick.
My intentions, Little Tick, were for you to take my place in the case that I perish in pursuit of our goals.
Little Tick thinks for a moment.
Father, I do not wish you to die. I am tired of our friends dying.
Me as well, Little Tick. Me as well.
Well, all I can say to that, Little Tick, is much as we're sad for our friends that have died, we've still got a hope here, and maybe with just a few more deaths on their side rather than ours, we might be able to get towards that peaceful future you want so much.
You are a good captain.
Thanks very much, Little Tick. And now, automatons, I'll leave you to your night. I think maybe I can get some sleep after all.
Tok puts his sedatives away.
Seek touches the brim of his bicorn hat and wanders away along the deck.
Tok, and I'm assuming Little Tick, will give him a salute as he leaves.
And as Seek turns his back and walks away, he smiles to himself, and the very slightest touch of a tear forms in the corner of his eye.
A little way away on the deck, Petron pops into visibility, and as he does so, he's saying to Cuthbert, I know, Cuthbert, I was going to tell them I was there straight away, but then they started talking and it was awkward, so I didn't know what to do, and then it was too late, so I couldn't say anything, could I? It was...
I feel like you're lying.
No, it's true, Cuthbert. They don't like it when they realise that you're invisible and you've just been wandering around.
Oh, it's useful stealth. I find I like you more the more I learn about you.
Oh, it's very nice of you to say so, but I just like to be unobtrusive and observe sometimes, and then I feel awkward now. The thing is, Cuthbert, what do you think we should do when we get back to Sanctuary?
That is a good question. It is the first time in a long time where I have to think about the future. And so do you. And what that may look like.
Well, I don't know. We've been given the rune thaler, so is it my responsibility to stay in Sanctuary and look after the rune thaler? Or do we need to go with them? I don't know.
It would be very dangerous to go with them.
No, it's not. That's not what I mean, Cuthbert. It's not about the danger. It's about what's my job in it? What's my role?
I find if you look deep within yourself, the truth will make itself apparent.
I hope so, Cuthbert.
We should sleep on it.
And Petron pads off down to his bunk, making sure that the automatons don't spot him on his way.
And with that, the rest of the journey passes without incident. The Sterling glides in over Sanctuary's lake. Below is a constant churn of motion, voices, lines of people waiting to be fed, all crisscrossing like veins. The secret town feels swollen, on the verge of bursting the outskirts and spilling out into the devastated lands of Roanoke around it. A small gathering approach you as you land, led by Rosalind. The faces of the people of Sanctuary are stony and worried.
I guess Seek will try to bear the burden of captaincy and lead the troops down the gangplank.
Oh, Master Seek-Sorrow, you have returned to us.
Yeah, we're back. Hello, Rosalind, how are you? How's things going in Sanctuary?
Things were going well, but we have received word of the battle over Misery and the loss to the rebellion.
Yeah, no hiding that, Rosalind. There's losses to both sides. But yeah, obviously we lost 6 ships and a lot of good people and one questionable person.
It was a Pyrrhic victory.
Indeed. Hello, Master Tok. Master Oakflower.
Hello, Rosalind. Nice to see you again.
Greetings.
I've attempted to contact Vander Finnick. Alas, no magical communication has been successful.
Well, no, I shouldn't think so. We didn't see the body, to be fair, but we're pretty sure he's dead. I'm sorry, Rosalind.
Well, I think if he wasn't Vander, I think we'd be sure he was dead. But, I mean, you've met Vander, haven't you? You know what he's like. He's, like I say, if it wasn't Vander, it'd be certain, but there's always there's always a smidge of doubt with Vander, isn't there?
That is correct. It is illogical, but I agree.
And Seek-Sorrow leans forward to Rosalind and goes, he was vaporized, Rosalind.
I don't think that having some hope is necessarily a bad thing.
I'm not sure I was saying hope.
She said that to Seek-Sorrow.
Fear. Yeah.
Well, that's nice of you, Rosalind. I've seen a lot of people dead and buried, and I think sometimes it's better to accept what's happened and pay your respects and move on.
Speaking of which, we have arranged a small ceremony tomorrow to pay tribute to the lives lost in the Battle of Misery.
That sounds like a very good idea. It was a bit difficult for us to do. We did what we could planted a tree to mark the people that fell, but there was a big mechanical dragon in the area, so we didn't stick around for too long. We had to protect what we still had and keep the people and ships we've brought back.
Of course, I understand. But enough of that. Come, let us gather in the mother's hut. There is still much to discuss.
Tok and Little Tick will follow Seeksar.
She leads you into the mother's hut, accompanied by Valyria Frostborn and the familiar, at least to you, Tok, pink scales of Figlani, the kobold bard, who pays her respects to you all. As you enter, you are hit with a wave of pungent, spicy stew, which is bubbling in a pot over the fireplace. The corner of the room is separated by an old, tatty curtain, which remains pulled. Rosalind offers you a seat at the table and sits herself.
Petron sits down with a rather longing look at the delicious-smelling soup. Stew. Not soup. Stew.
You're welcome to mash it into soup if you want.
Tok and Little Tick will kneel so as to not break the chairs.
Please help yourself. The people of Aethelon are flocking to the rebellion's banner. Every group has experienced success. They've managed to convince the populace with limited resistance. As expected, dissent has been widespread, and all it has taken is someone pointing the way. The Empire is falling, and Salazar's forces know it. We should expect increased cruelty and retaliation in the weeks ahead.
Is there any news of the Emperor's location?
I have spies in many cities. There is no sign of him or the Ravager. We must assume he is still in Goresh. All of the major cities now are overwhelmed with rebellious uprisings. Only Alphon remains, the bastion of his power.
Maybe we should go there, Rosalind. I think if we knocked over his forces in Alphon, if there's rebellion everywhere else, talk about increased cruelty from the Empire, well, if we smash them up where they're strongest, maybe they'll all turn and run.
What remains of the Emperor's forces, airships, disposition?
The majority of the airships were under the control of the Sons of Kale, which, as we understand it, you have destroyed.
That is correct.
But beyond that, it is only the Ravager.
I believe it would be the Bounders that would be the most pertinent force of control.
And yet, we receive news every day of more and more Bounders who suddenly have forgotten their oaths to the Empire and have miraculously come round to the idea of rebellion.
That may be due to their certain death if the Emperor's plans come to fruition.
Indeed. I should tell you that we believe he is going to perform the ritual in a little over 7 weeks.
That's right, and we think he's going to try and do that at the Citadel, where he tried it before.
And how did you come across that information?
Seeksar glances at Tok, because he feels like Tok's slightly implicated in that, because, the familial relationship, so he's kind of looking to Tok.
We defeated his Lieutenant Torren and interrogated him.
Yeah, we took his arms and legs off, it was brilliant.
She looks at her stew for a moment, like she's trying to decide whether to engage with that comment about the arms and legs. She just sips from a spoon and then clears her throat. Alphon is the last bastion of power of this crumbling empire. I would never ask you to do anything. I learnt long ago asking the Order of the Heron to do anything is folly. But if you chose to, I think that would be a plan that I could support wholeheartedly.
What would you suggest in Alphon?
Alphon is ruled by the one remaining Shadow Vanguard, Astrid, the Emperor's most loyal lieutenant. She rules the place with an iron fist. Were you to kill her, it would be the end of the final grip of power that Salazar exerts over the continent.
What of the interrogator, Joseph, that Vander refers to? He is a power as well.
Give me an insight check.
not Tok's specialty.
My insight is decent.
Yeah, you go for it.
6.
We do not believe that Joseph is a problem.
I wish I had some insight.
What does that mean, Rosalind? It's only a problem for Vander.
We have lost contact. Best guess is he's fled the continent as the Empire has fallen.
It'd be nice to get him, wouldn't it, for Vander, but I guess that's not our priority right now. I guess Vander will haunt him, won't he, if he gets a chance. That's a thing.
I have one further thing to ask, if you would indulge me.
Go ahead, Rosalind.
You may have noticed the sanctuary has grown in population. We have housed all the furbolgs and are taking care of them as best we can. But to increase the space is beyond my meagre abilities. There is, however, an ancient ritual used to protect an area from any arcane interference. It is called a mythal. It grants total control and safety to those allowed to enter. In order to be performed properly, we require 5 participants, 5 arcane practitioners. They must remain within the mythal for the full cycle to lock in the protections. With it in place, those within will be protected from external influences, even, potentially, the end of the world. I, obviously, will be one of the 5.
I will help.
Thank you, Figlani.
I can be one of the 5 too.
Thank you, Valyria. Well, that's 3. We require 2 more.
I think I might be able to help with that, Rosalind. I've been working on sort of protective magic spells. I've been practicing on the Sterling on the way here. I think that might be something I can help with.
That would require 1 other arcane practitioner, however. There is 1 other person who could help.
Go on.
She stands up, goes to the corner of the room and pulls back the curtain. Laying unconscious in bed is Corith Kane, better known to you, Tok, as Morven.
That appears to be the unconscious body of Morven, the Shadow Vanguard. He is dangerous. I do not believe assistance will be provided by the Shadow Vanguard.
He appears to have changed, Tok. His mind was shattered, and I have been working with him to piece it back together.
Is that wise, Rosalind? If he is repaired, he may do great harm.
I do not believe it is in his capabilities to perform harm anymore. He provided this to aid in the battle against the Emperor. And she reaches into a chest and opens it up and pulls out a rune-covered great hammer. This is the Callus Justicar, an Alokian benediction of some power.
Seeksaro's eyes absolutely light up at that. That looks amazing. Can I have that, Rosalind?
Do you have any Alokian benedictions currently?
Seeksaro's eyes slowly lit round to Tok, who knows about these things.
He does not.
Then I can think of no finer user than yourself.
What, really?
And she hands it to you.
It would complement your fighting style, Seeksaro.
Gods, wow, what a day for me. Well, that's amazingly kind of you, Rosalind. I'm not sure I've really earned this. Well, I'll try not to muck it up.
Rosalind, I had a question. Why is this man unconscious? Have you done something to him?
He has been placed into a magical stasis as work continues fixing his broken mind.
Is that because you're afraid of him?
It's because he suffers great pain when he is conscious. He finds it difficult sleeping. Flashes of imagery. Trauma.
Well, will he be able to maintain this spell then in that case? Is it fairer to ask him to do it?
He has offered. He wishes to make amends. And he is quite powerful.
Well, Tok, what about if you spoke to him? Would you be able to tell, do you think, if he's really changed or if he's kind of hiding his true self? Do you think, because you knew him before, didn't you?
I have had limited interactions with Morven outside of combat.
Perhaps we should speak again tomorrow after the ceremony. Until then, please rest and feed.
Rosalind, can I ask a quick question? Did all the furbolgs make it back safely? And is the Runethaler here? Is it all right? Is it doing okay?
The town has really rallied around. A lot of work is going into keeping them alive. They are in a terrible state.
That's a great relief, Rosalind. That's a weight off my mind. I've been worrying about that all the journey, and Barilla will be pleased as well. What about the tree, the Runethaler? That was with them, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
That's right. It's been planted in the grove overseen by Valyria. You can visit it whenever you wish.
Right. Very good. Okay. I'll go straight away, thank you. And I think Petron's going to shoot straight off to the grove.
Query. Is the location of Benny known to you?
Not at the moment, but I know someone is going to arrive tomorrow who may be able to bring us the information that we've been searching for all these months.
That information relates to Benny's location.
Correct.
We have recovered Benny's father. He is interested to talk to Benny.
If you point him out to me, I'll make sure he is informed the moment I have more information.
I would find that to be acceptable.
Sanctuary was never built for this many people. The wake spills out around the lake's edges at the town's heart. The sky above is wide and unguarded, streaked with the last embers of sunset, and a cool wind drifts in from the ravaged lands of Roanoke beyond, tugging at hems and hair alike. At the front of the gathering stands a long wooden platform, hastily raised from wagon planks and shield doors. Upon it rests a row of draped biers, each covered in simple cloth, grey for most, but one in bold yellow. The crest of House Highmore has been stitched across the fabric in careful, uneven hands. It catches the last of the light as it ripples in the wind. Around the edges of the gathering, volunteers gently move crates of paper lanterns. They are thin and fragile, each painted with a name in ink that has bled slightly into the fibres. Candles are being fixed in place, wicks tested, flames coaxed into life and pinched low again. They are ready. Row after row of people fill the heart of Sanctuary, stretching back towards the edges of the magically protected space. Some stand on overturned barrels. Others crowd trees or lean from windows of the simple buildings. The sheer number of them makes the town feel smaller than ever. There are numerous street urchins near the front, children who once darted through the alleys of numerous cities, now standing unnaturally still, hands clasped around bundles of wilted wildflowers or scavenged ribbons of yellow and black cloth. Kelvala stands among the gathered, unmoving, watching everything and making notes, his eyes scanning the crowd for notable people, especially those with stories to tell. A cluster of gnomes from Slateholm occupy one side, their soot-stained waistcoats brushed clean for the occasion. Their brass goggles hang unused around their necks, ticking devices and tinkered contraptions conspicuously absent. Opposite them stand the orcs of Crimson Reach, armour polished and unadorned, axes ground into the dirt, a sign of warriors' respect. Near the front, chairs have been arranged for what remains of the War Council of Shale. There are gaps where there should not be. Cedric Highmore's absence is louder than most. Morticia Wesson sits poised in immaculate black, veil drawn back, tears streak her cheeks. Alongside, her son mirrors her in miniature, equally dark-clad, hands folded tightly enough for knuckles to pale. Neither speak.
Presumably we've been avoiding her.
A few paces away, unmistakable, is the bright flare of bubblegum pink hair. Gearhead stands, rigid, shoulders squared, goggles resting at her collar.
No sign of Cypher, though.
There is no sign of Cypher. The crowd murmurs in low, restless currents, snatches of prayers, fragments of memories, bitterness, disbelief. The wind carries it all together into something like the hum of distant bees. Lantern flames flicker when Figlani steps up to the wooden platform. She doesn't call for silence. Instead, she stands there for a moment, small against the sky, framed in yellow and black. And one by one, the murmuring dies. The wind rustles through the trees and the lantern flames steady. Sanctuary falls quiet enough to hear the creak of timber beneath her boots as she speaks.
I've been asked to speak here at this ceremony to say a few words about loss. Yes, give Figalarni, the professional storyteller, the task of telling the tale of sorrow. But I do not need to document a history you have all lived. With all of my skills, all of my eloquence, there is nothing new I can add to the narrative of your grief. So instead, I'm going to tell you a story about teeth. I only met Vander and his companions once, when they stopped at the tavern at the end of the world looking for information. There was something very appealing in the way Vander didn't hesitate to display the wounds and scars he received at the hands of the Empire, and honesty in his drive for revenge. So when he also expressed interest in knocking the teeth out of the skull of an asshole who just insulted my entire lineage, I was more than happy to assist. By the end of the night, the braggart had lost half a dozen teeth, his jacket, and a chunk of overgrown ego. Vander ended up not taking any teeth, but I snatched a molar myself. A token, something to share when he returned with his companions to tell the story of their adventures. I still have this tooth. Vander lost his life, saving a whole community of furbolgs. Now, instead of a gift to pay for an adventurous tale, it's a symbol of someone we lost. Vander was not the first, and he certainly will not be the last. I've witnessed firsthand the utter devastation something so evil can unleash. And the further it is rebuffed, the more cruel and savage it will become. Cities destroyed, communities sundered, homes up in flames. I lost my home to that evil, forced to flee with no hope of return. But after everything that Vander had lost, everything the Empire had done to him, he still had the spirit to fight back and knock the teeth out of anyone who stood in his way. So, I will be inspired by his story. From now on, there's no more running, because I will not lose my second home. And if I am faced with the same choice that Vander was, then I will stand my ground, even if it means making the same sacrifice he did to save others, to save this world. Friends, I cannot add to the narrative of your grief, because every single being here has co-authored the same novel. We are a community, bound by loss, but fueled by hope. And I look forward to the day when these are just memories, and the tales we tell each other as reminders of those we love. But until that day comes, we must continue to work together and grow stronger, so the rebellion can knock the teeth out of every Empire asshole across this world.
Having finished, Figlani steps down. Eventually, all eyes fall on the remaining members of the Order of the Heron.
Tok will take one of the masks from Vander's cabin and place it gently at the foot of the Jurima tree. he's also got what looks like a weird bit of stew that he's in a sort of like small bowl that he's going to take to the foot of the Daruma tree and bury, like he was going to dig with his hands and bury it under the ground. As he comes back to stand up, you faintly hear him say, "Goodbye, Tick," and will return to his place next to you.
Petron stands up, looking very awkward and uncomfortable, and says, I'm not the best at public speaking. I sort of felt that someone ought to say a few words about Vander. Vander was a very complicated person, I think. But in his last days, Vander was happier than I'd ever seen him before. And he'd been reunited with his love, and he glances at Morticia. And he'd been made the Sky Marshal. That meant a very great deal to him, and he was strategizing, and he had a cause and a purpose that was important to him, and he understood the risks that were associated with that, and he'd accepted them. And I think he was scared of what he might lose, but he understood that you have to risk losing, and he was willing to do that, and that's how he died. And I suppose he'd waited up and he'd accepted that, and well, there's something to that, isn't there? I think we can be proud of what he did and how he went, and that's all I'd really like to say. Thank you. And Petron sits back down quickly.
You hear the sniffs of the crowd.
Seek Sorrow, probably just as sheepish as Petron walking forward, approaches the Daruma tree with Vander's cane in his hand, and he stoops and lays it down at the foot of the Daruma tree, and he turns back to the crowd and says, "I'm not much of a speaker either, I'm sorry, but I wanted to say something for Vander. I think we all know Vander could be a proper bastard a lot of the time, but he always had time for me, helped me find my way as a sailor, and I think even when he was in pain, which was all the time, and even when he was full of anger and hatred, which was all the time, he still found something worth fighting for. And maybe I used to think maybe he just fought because he had nothing else left, and he was just angry. But I think he actually did see some good in things and some good in the world. And so he kept fighting. And in the end, he did a very brave thing to help all of us and to save all of us and to save Petron at the last. So what I plan to do is to keep fighting in the way he did, or at least in my own way, for the cause that he fought for. And I invite all of you to do the same in what way you can." And without really an ending, Seek Sorrow shuffles back to his place.
He was the founder of the Order of the Heron. He was not always a good man, but he was a great man. He was my friend.
And mine.
And mine.
And then Seek Sorrow raises his tankard of plenty, mutters, "Alarm, Sky Marshal Vander Finnick."
And he's cheers by other people at the wake. And with the last word said, the paper lanterns are lit, each wick caught with flames as they are released. The sky filling slowly with gold and amber lights, one carrying Vander Finnick's name upwards, stitching it into the dark among the stars. After the wake, Rosalind approaches you all. Oh, that was a lovely service. A fitting end to the man's life.
I still hold a small possibility of his survival, possibly on another plane.
Yeah, I don't disagree, Tuck, and I obviously take back all those nice words about him if he does turn out to be alive.
I believe we have an update on Master Benny Quez. I have it on good authority that he's in Alphon, the capital, to be specific. It seems the wheels of fate are turning, and all roads lead to Lunadyne, to the heart of the Empire. Have you given any more thought to Korith as a member of the Mythal?
I had a bit of an idea. Well, Barilla here, I hope you don't mind, I mentioned to it first because I didn't think I should just volunteer or, willy-nilly. But Barilla here, she's a fairly powerful arcane user, and maybe she could be the fifth rather than having to worry about Korith.
As long as there are 5, that is fine by me. Talk?
I would find it to be acceptable. It would seem a lower risk.
Agreed. It may be too much pressure on Korith anyway. It would allow me to focus on helping him without the pressure.
Rosalind, when do we need to start?
In the morning.
In the morning? That soon? Yeah, of course. Right, you are.
And she looks at Petron's expression and then looks at Seek Sorrow and Tok. And with a smile, she gives you a small bow and leaves you 3 alone.
Well, I suppose this means I won't be able to come with you to Alphon, of course.
That is correct.
So I suppose in a way this is goodbye then.
Only for a short while, if we are successful.
Right. You understand that I need to stay?
To complete the ritual of the Mythal, correct?
Right, and the way that Rosalind describes it, there's so many people here in Sanctuary who need that, and I'm one of the few people who are able to cast that. And, the Runethalers here as well, and I've got a responsibility to look after that as well, and all the Furbolgs, and...
It is a worthy cause, Petron. It is the correct decision.
Is it?
We understand, Petron, and we're really going just to do some killing and destruction, which isn't necessarily your forte, so here doing protection and magic sounds like the way forward for you, and...
All right then. Well, I'm glad you understand it, and yeah, I don't really think I'm abandoning you. I just think I can do the most good here.
If I was capable of assisting in the casting of the Mythal, I would. It is the greater of the 2 endeavours.
Right, you are. Well...
I would request that you tend the grove in Sanctuary.
Oh, of course. Oh, absolutely. I that would be my honour and my privilege. There's nothing I'd rather do, Tok. I certainly will do that. Is there anything that you'd want me to do here, Seek Sorrow, while you're away?
Not really, Petron. I just want to get out there and try out my new hammer.
Well, right then. And then Petron goes quiet for a couple of seconds, and then just wraps his arms around both of you and gives you a massive hug. And you can hear him behind you, just kind of sobbing quietly.
Tok does that really awkward thing where someone tries to copy what the hug is but doesn't really understand. In fact, to try and get a little bit more understanding, he sort of uses the bit of Vanda's skin that he's still got left on his hand to try and make some slightly clammy contact on the back of your...
Petron is going to ride that out. He is not having you take away this moment.
Seek Sorrow does its best to enjoy the hug despite the skin hands, and says into the shoulders of the other 2, Vanda would hate this.
I believe you are correct.
That feels like a perfect way to end.
Tok and Sixaro, you board the Sterling for the flight to Lunadine, in search of Benny Quez. You leave behind Petron, Sanctuary, and the memory of misery, ready to take the fight to what remains of the Empire, and maybe, just maybe, stopping Emperor Salazar from completing his ritual of ascension. The Sterling cruises through the cold night air, while above, the stars twinkle, and one of them, as you know, carries the name of Vander Finnick. And we'll end it there. Night settles over Lunadine, the capital of Alphon. Even after dark, the city breathes. Distant music, murmured deals, the hum of people trying to survive one more night under the boot of the Empire. Footsteps pound across the cobblestones. A group of orphan kids burst into the street, scattering as they run. Behind them come two bounders, heavily armoured, boots striking stone in perfect rhythm. "Stop!" one of them shouts. "By the order of Astrid!" The kids skid to a halt as they round a corner into Carbuncle Street. At its end stands a statue of Cosmo Falconer, hand outstretched as if frozen mid-speech. The kids look back as one of the bounders raises his weapon. Then, the statue speaks.
It's really a lot easier when you stand still.
The bounders freeze, just long enough. Thwip, thwip! Two arrows flash out of the darkness, clean, precise. Both bounders collapse where they stand, armour clattering against the stone. Then silence. The kids all sprint from the scene. Only one looks up towards the rooftops and sees a shadow framed against the moon, bow in hand. From the shadows of a nearby alley, a small gnome hustles out, already grumbling under his breath as he grabs one of the bodies by the arm. "Honestly," he mutters, dragging it back to the alley. "You'd think they'd learn by now." He pauses, looks up to the rooftops, and flashes a thumbs up. High above, silhouetted against the moonlight, Benny Quez grins and returns the gesture. In one smooth motion, Benny steps off the roof, cloak fluttering as he lands lightly in the alley beside Boffo, barely making a sound.
Nice timing.
"Nice shot." That's when he hears it. Tap, tap, tap. The unmistakable sound of a cane striking stone. From behind him, a figure emerges from the shadows.
"Benny, you're a hard man to find."
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Petron Oakflower, Alex Morrison as Sixaro, Harry King as Tok, Lauren Urban as Figlarni, Christopher Tester as Emperor Salazar, and introducing Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
Father, it is my turn! The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support. J. Hilda von Greenhorn. M. Corey Mack. Dave Patterson Boy Genius. Sepulchre Stenit. Marky B. Jenny the Warcamel. Stephen Sikora. Nori Gosler. Mickey Arnold. Happy Daddy Scotty. Tika. Rabbi Camel, Team Stay Toxic, Path Pursuit, Paris Picard, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Queenie, and an extra special thanks to the Council of Rojan members, the Red Right Hand, Shelby Cat, purveyor of exceptional dice, SJ Phionics, Zeus Legion, Richard Ungavus, Murmur Strange, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
It's a comfortable little tick double header.
Oh my god. People are going to kill me.
I was going to say, do you need more of that tea stuff, honey tea for your throat now?
Just clear the little tick out of my throat, so to speak.
If it helps, one, I think Benny would be probably quite an asset to us in the assassination attempt, and two, be hilarious to make Dave play two characters at once.
That would be hilarious.
We could try and make sure he has a conversation with himself at least once, because
I can tell you, Dave, you don't want to do that.
You don't know about that. I don't think that'd be a very good idea. And I don't think it. No, why am I Manchester? I don't think it'd be a great idea either. I don't think it'd be a very good idea either.
Here now, our kid.
Nice.
Can you still do the Benny voice?
Don't know. I think I might be like. Blah, 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 blah.
Are you all right, Petrin?
Nice, Petrin. Benny, how are you getting on?
I'm
doing very well, thank you. I always led to believe you had a slightly different voice to that. Oh, Benny, I don't know what's happened.
I believe in you.
I spent a lot of time in Nebuchadnezzar and my voice has changed accordingly.
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our link tree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.